Yeah. All right. How's everybody doing today?
Fabulous.
Good, thank you.
Fabulous. How was yesterday? You had to suffer without me. You had to stick with George. He's like almost as good, but not quite as good.
Well, this is a thick one. You're not going to do all this today.
I'm doing all of it today. The last ones have been thick, but we're going to skip through some of it kind of quickly because it is a thick one. I will, once again, the book will describe in detail the process. So you can keep this, and if you ever come across a short sale and you forget, you could read through this and kind of know what you need to do for the short sale. So that way it goes into your something, wherever you need to put it, when that time comes when you get to do a short sale. All right, let's jump into it. I'm going to do the main ideas because what you'll learn, why am I going to tell you what you learn? Let's just learn it. So we're going to jump right to page 13, distressed properties. I'm sure you went over this a little bit yesterday, but what's a distressed property? Who can explain that for me?
It's a house that needs a rehab. It's a house that needs attention.
That can be distressed in a different way, but a distressed property typically is a house that someone is not making payments on, right? So then it's a distress, meaning that it's not being made, payments aren't being made on it. So, so let's look at the property timeline of a distressed property and what that looks like. So, distressed property timeline, know it and consult it expertly. So there's personal shifts happen, market and property shifts occur, and the buyer's interest happens. So let's look at the personal shift. 4 primary causes for making distressed properties. Once again, a distressed property is someone that is currently not making payments on it. How do you know if if they are in trouble and like the bank might be coming after their home? What happens when they don't make payments? 1 in 90 days. They get a notice. What's it called?
Notice of default.
Notice of default, an NOD. You'll hear people ask, is there an NOD on file? Is a notice of default been given? Meaning that the seller has not been paying their payment and they've been notified, hey, you're in default of your loan. All right? So personal shift, 4 primary causes. Negative equity from the market value shift. Are we there yet?
No.
Are we looking like we're going there?
Maybe.
Nobody knows for sure, but not really.
Yeah.
Right? We're still, remember my big complaint that de-accelerating, like we're not accelerating as fast. We're still up 10% year over year on the sales price, right? Unemployment triggers delinquencies. That could be, right? Someone loses their job, they can't find another job. Right now the market's good if you go find a job. People just aren't wanting to work. It's a weird thing going on right now. People are just like, hey, everyone's like, unemployment's good. Like, it is good historically, but there's all these people that aren't going to look like the work pool is incredibly high of young, able bodies to work that aren't working for whatever reason. They're just not looking. Maybe they're just enjoying making money off the government. I don't know what's going on, but that's a weird thing. Other personal crisis, right? Something happens personally to them. They lose a loved one. They might be able to afford it. They might just have ignored life for 3 or 4 months, 5 months, and got behind. Consumer confidence can help or hurt, which we'll jump into. So let's look at the negative equity chart. So we all know how equity works in a home, right?
Yeah.
The value of the home minus the debt equals your equity. When sales prices go up 15 to 20% year over year, almost everyone has equity. That's why short sales are not common today. But if you bought last 4 months and something bad happens, you could still be in a position to be short, right? So if your value is above your equity or above your debt, you have equity. If your home is worth $500,000, you owe $250,000 on your house, you have $250,000 of equity. Pretty simple. So the role of unemployment, timing of unemployment, employment surge exaggerated the distressed property situation. The Federal Reserve mortgage delinquencies tied to unemployment. So this is a great graph of showing you those little black bars are recessions. All right, when the recessions have hit. Then this graph shows you the duration of unemployment. And we know what happens when unemployment goes up, more distressed properties happen. Just makes common sense, right? If a lot of people lose their jobs, you're not going to pay for the homes. If they're having struggle finding homes or jobs, they're not going to have be able to pay their payments, right?
Right.
What are they going to do? They can't pay what they can't afford.
It's true.
So it goes delinquent. So it's just common sense. So we watch unemployment to see where we're going to be at. So this is why a lot of people don't think we're going to get really into a heavy REO and a heavy short sell market, because unemployment is pretty good right now, even though we are officially in a recession. Saying that, don't hold bars, because if, let's say, half those people that haven't been looking for a job re-enter the workforce, that could go away like real quickly. You know, unemployment could jump up. That unemployment number, I don't trust. A lot of people are very weird with it right now because there's so many people not looking for jobs. You know, unemployment only counts for people looking for jobs that can't find one. It's very strange, right? So we're just keeping an eye on things. The good thing is though, is we're going to learn about it today, understand the process, so when the opportunity comes about, and when more do come, eventually there will be more, we'll be able to handle it like an expert, right? So the personal crisis, so unforeseen medical expenses, right? All of a sudden something happens, insurance doesn't cover it, something major, right? All of a sudden you can't afford your house anymore. Unplanned job transfers, a death in the family, a bad divorce, right? And job loss a person could cause a property to go into distress. And then consumer confidence. So on page 18, it kind of dives into this. Naive confidence can help, meaning that people are in a market where their naive confidence basically is saying that you're good with going with the flow of what's happening. So let's look back at the last market that we were just coming out of. Buyers are willing to do craziness to get into a house, right? Then that would be considered naive confidence. They are just doing all this crazy stuff to buy a home, get a home. They're confident that home values are going up, right? Then, now we're uncertain times. People are overconfident that something could hurt, overconfident in the fact that the market's going to crash. It's going to do these bad things, right? I don't want to pay my payments anymore because it's going to crash. I shouldn't have bought this home, right? There's things that can happen where your confidence or overconfidence in what's happening. Okay. On page 19 and 20, there's going to be some charts that you're going to want to look at. Did Mike put up? Are you guys on Zoom? You guys don't have your. Let me yell at Mike real quick to put that up.
Okay.
Hey, Mike or Vic, can you guys put the thing on Zoom?
REO says what is that? Oh,
Yeah.
this is actually.
Thank you.
Okay, so this one.
All right, they're putting that up for you guys. Sorry on Zoom. But chart shows key features of distressed property process. So the pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, post-foreclosure. There are some local state laws and regulations, but we're going to go over that right now, all right? So the distressed property timeline. So somebody loses a job. Let's pretend I lose my job. They kick me out of being a director. I'm no longer the team leader. And it comes out that I'm a terrible person and nobody will buy or sell with me. All my skeletons are out. I lose my job. Oh no, poor me, right? So I can't afford my mortgage. So I don't pay my mortgage for, let's say, 90 days, right? I get my notice of default. Then what will happen is the bank will give me an intent to foreclose. Then the foreclosure will happen. Then they'll either go to auction, a pre-list third party, or it'll be assigned to an asset manager. Then the asset manager will give it to an REO listing agent. Then the REO will put it on the market to sell it. And if worst case scenario, the bank fails, then the FDIC would take over and then sell the home as well. All right?
Do you need cash to buy these?
Short sell?
Yeah.
Nope. Just any, we'll get to it, how it works. So, in that time frame, before you get the notice of default, and before it forecloses, you can try to convince the seller to short sell. So why is it called a short sell first?
Because. Selling it into the parents' value?
You're short of the value that it is to sell, right? There's nothing short about a short sale.
It's actually
Okay.
wrong.
It's actually quite a long, tedious process. Now, once you have approval, it can be quick, but it is a long, tedious process. So you have a time frame between foreclosure and notice of default where you can try to short sell the house. Here's the truth. In 2006, banks made a grave error. Is they started foreclosing on these properties quickly to get them back to try to sell them instead of working with a lot of the people to try to go through it, to try to maximize their money. But all the banks started doing it at the same time, and they drove the market down with a whole bunch of inventory, causing really a massive issue, right? Because then all this inventory came on, all these prices, and everyone just waiting to see what was happening. It was a race to the bottom. And some banks went under from this, right? So banks right now are really trying to work with people to come to a solution, because a short sale costs the bank, an REO, a foreclosure costs the bank a ton of money. So there is a time period there where you can try to do it. All right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So do we understand the flow? Someone doesn't pay their mortgage, they get a notice of default. All right, they got some time now, they can try to short sell. All right. So the personal shift, so there's three shifts it talks about. It's a personal market and a buyer's intent, a PS, MS, and then a buyer's intent. We're gonna go over the personal shift. So, a missed mortgage payment. Then it turns into 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, right? Then you get the notice of default. Then they can try to do a deed in lieu or a loan modification. So what's a deed in lieu?
Keep that title.
That's in French.
Some French thing they do over there in France, right? So a deed in lieu of foreclosure, basically you're trying to get the title, yes. You're either giving the deed for what is owed, right? And it's like a walk away type of thing. Loan modification, many banks will work with people. They don't want to foreclose. They will be able to modify the loan so they don't lose it. Then they'll get the intent to foreclose. Then they foreclose. Then they evict. Then there's a redemption or reinstatement, depending if that's sometimes an option at the end. So the eviction process. We're gonna have the sheriff come in. He's actually the captain for the sheriff, so he can come in and explain some of the processes for that. Because getting people out for banks is a lot of hard times. That's what the REO agent has to come in and try to get people out. Back in the 2008, 2009, they're doing cash for keys. Here's 10 grand, get out of the house, give me your keys. Just to get people out before, because it takes a long time to get the sheriff there, and they'll come physically remove the people. Market property shift events. All right, so you have your conventional loan or FHA loan. There's some different rules in there, but basically either of those two loans. Then you have a short sale once they go through the other process of the personal. Then a trustee or sheriff sale, right? So if they don't short sell it, if the bank can't short sell it, then they may do a trustee or a sheriff sale. Some call it a courtyard sale, where the court will auction off the house, and people, investors can go and auction on these, try to get these homes. They could pre-list an auction, then assign it to an asset manager, then the asset manager gives it to an REO listing with an agent, then an REO purchase, right? So most of the time what happens locally here is it goes to an auction. If you guys want to join the investment group, they're talking about going down to an auction live. If you've never been one, go. It's down in, kind of far down in LA. It takes a while to get there.
Isn't it you needed to do the classes, the 14 weeks?
No,
No.
you can just show up.
You just show up.
You can just show up and watch. And I've gone a couple times because I wanted to learn and see how it went and start looking at these properties. You could go to auctions.com, put in our local area, and see the houses that are go for sale. And you go down there and you can see people, they have cashier's checks.
Yeah.
And they start auctioning for the homes, ones they want. That's typically what will happen when they go through this section, if it doesn't go to an REO or a REO purchase. And then buyer's interest happens, right? Pre-foreclosure sales, short sales, trustee or sheriff sales, pre-list auctions, REO listed with agents. That's where buyer's interest happens. Why do buyers get excited about these?
It's a good deal.
Get deals, baby. Yeah. Especially back in 2009. Really good deals. All right, everyone understand? We're on the same page?
But don't they have to be all cash offers when they do that?
The auction?
So auctions, yes,
Yes,
because you're
okay.
bringing in cashier's checks.
Okay.
You have to pay for it there. You have to buy the house there. with
Right there
cashier's
on the
checks.
spot.
Right there on the
That's what I
spot.
thought, okay.
If you go with auto, he actually goes, gets a bunch of cashier's checks in different values.
Oh, wow.
Brings them with him,
Wow.
and then he plops it down on the table. Okay,
How do you know what you're getting though?
you don't. So that's a big concern with it. So they do show you, the hardest part about going to the auctions is you have a lot of rights as an owner, right? To try to get them to push back the auction. So if you go to auction.com, it shows you a proposed auction date, and it might be coming up like, oh, then you could drive by and look at it. And you're looking at it, you're not supposed to investigate the property, and then you hop over the wall illegally, then you're checking it out, and then you're looking around like, oh, this is good, this looks cool. And then you drive all the way down there, and you show up, and it's been postponed for 2 weeks or a month, and that happens all the time. So typically, Otto will go by and look at 2 or 3 of them, have 2 or 3 in mind, and then he'll go down there, and if one of them, he'll go after. You might get it, and it has horrible septic issues, it might have horrible water issues, but you don't know. So you have to look at it, hope for the best, kind of know the area, and then hope it's a good enough return if you get the value that makes sense to you before you buy it and do the flip or something like that. That's the scary part, and a lot of people lose a lot of money on that. Okay. Can you consult about the distressed property timeline? Okay, so you guys feel good about the distressed property timeline? You kind of understand how it works?
Yeah.
Feel good about it, right? You get someone doesn't pay the bill, they get a notice of default, they're gonna have some time before they foreclose, and that time you can try to do something to make it work. If not, they're gonna get foreclosed on. Everyone's wrong. So what is a short sale? All right, so what is a short sale? An option before foreclosure. So it's a proactive step, it's basically a settlement with the bank. You're asking the bank to settle because it's bad for everybody. You try to find a win-win for everybody, but really it's a lose-lose-lose, right? Win for the agent, but it is a lose-lose-lose. Everybody loses. The person's losing their home, it sucks. The bank's losing their investment, they're gonna lose money on it. It's a crappy situation, to be honest. The worst part about a short sale is the person selling the home doesn't make money at all.
And it still affects them,
I'm sorry?
and it still affects their credit.
It does, but it's actually a lot better than a foreclosure.
It is.
Short sale only hits your credit report for 2 years. Foreclosure is 7.
Wow.
So if you short sell, you can buy a new home within 3 years. If you foreclose on it, it's 7 years before you're able to do anything. So the truth, a short sale is a contract between the buyer and the seller with at least one contingency. The contingency is that the deal has to be approved by the lender as a settlement for less than the amount that is owed. So the lender holds all the cards. It's up to them to say yes or no. It's not up to you. Not up to the seller, not up to the buyer. It's up to them to approve it. So truth, when the customer asks, why a short sale? The shortest answer is that a short sale is a written negotiated settlement with agreed terms. A foreclosure is a taking of their property with no terms and no written settlement. That make sense? So a short sale is basically an agreement, a written terms between the seller and the bank of letting it go, and everyone is okay with it. A foreclosure is they're just taking it from you. They're kicking your butt out on the street if you don't get out. All right? Make sense? So what does a short sale accomplish? It's consumer protection. It's lender liability avoidance. They don't want to go to REO. Lender cost reduction. And it's really a business building opportunity for agents. It really is. So lenders really don't want to go to REO. They don't want to have to foreclose. It costs them a lot of money. They will try to avoid it the best they can, right? It helps the consumer because they're not being foreclosed on. They don't have that on their record. There is an opportunity to get your seller a little bit of money as well. A lot of times there is a cash for keys or a relocation cost where you can ask for $10,000. The last one I did, I asked for 15. They got 3. And they're like, oh, I'm like, you're lucky you get anything. The bank has to give you nothing. Just be happy. I'm glad you got through, right? And they got $3,000 at the end. That was their check they made when the house was no longer theirs. That make sense? So there is some opportunity there for the seller. Occurred to a foreclosure, they're probably not going to get anything. Special benefits for the seller. 8 reasons to avoid foreclosure. Foreclosure follows you. You'll have been foreclosed on. It'll be on your credit report. You'll be shown, people will know, other banks will know. It is not looking good for you. Your credit score is negatively impacted very strongly. Ineligible for government-insured loans during that time period. I think it's 7 years. Possibility for deficiency judgments. It's negative in employment credit checks. It's potentially damaging in current employment. It's a negative on security clearances. And it's a lower tax liability than foreclosure. All right? So win-win solutions for everyone. Win-win, lose-lose, however you want to look at it, right? Relief for the homeowner. Because the homeowner is going to be really stressed during this time because they're going to be getting called from the bank nonstop from collections, trying to get their payments in. They're going to get newsletters. They're not knowing what to do. Their house is being, they're going to lose their home. Super stressful with them, right? It's a bargain for the buyer. Typically, the buyer will get a better deal. Lender's liability is reduced. They don't lose as much money. The agent client for life potential is high. So if you truly help somebody out during this time, when they get back on their feet, they'll probably use you to buy again. Short sales are just plain different. So there's a table in there that shows you the differences between, on page 38, I think. It shows you differences between a regular sale, short sale, REO, HUD home purchase. So pricing on the BPO and appraisal, typically you're going to have to get an appraisal on the short sale. They're not going to allow a BPO. It's going to be most likely required an appraisal. Special terms and addendums, the house is as is. It's just going to be that way. They don't want multiple offers. You really just want the one best offer that you're going to submit. And the lender has to accept it. You don't accept it. The seller doesn't accept it. The lender accepts the deal, not you. Long wait, then quick to close. So it's a hurry up and wait type of thing. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, and then you get a wait, which is always fun. Your options for a short sale business. End-to-end short sales agent. So really if you're going to be looking at trying to generate a lot of leads, you're going to probably handle it this way. So you're handling all the aspects from lead generation to negotiation to close. You are doing the full thing. They have really streamlined the short sale process. A lot of it is done online that you submit. You do have to put the package together, and it's quite extensive that you have to do. But it's not all that difficult anymore. It used to be more difficult when they were first, a lot of short sales were coming out. You could be a negotiator and processor. So there's actually a business in this because negotiating and the processing for the short sale back and forth with the bank was really time consuming. So agents got good at it and they only did that and said, I'll do it for a fee. We'll split it 50-50 and I'll do all this part. You go get the lead and you don't worry about all this time consuming stuff. And the agent's like, that's great. A lot of that's come down. It's not as crazy as it used to be. So that's not really a thing anymore. But it used to be, right? Will it get to that point again? Maybe. I don't necessarily know, but streamlining with the internet and how everything works today, maybe. Then you could be referral only. You get a short sale, someone has a short, and you're like, I don't want to deal with this. This sounds like way too much work. Great. Marvin will do it. Steve will do it. They'll do it for a referral. Steve Burton on the Zoom, right? Other agents will do it if you don't want to go through it all, and they'll take the referral. And you can just be great at lead generating it and handing them off. The problem with referral only is Steve's then going to give them great service, and when they're ready to buy again in 3 or 4 years, he's going to get that, right? He probably lost that client forever. So, something to think about. All right, choosing a negotiation service vendor. So, if you do decide to go negotiated process, you don't want to do it. Honestly, we could probably skip through this. I don't know of anyone locally that does this. It was a thing back in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, when short sales were massive and it was a business that people created. Agents got really good at it, created businesses for it, and other agents use it and make money. Like anything, agents are entrepreneurial, they see a need, they get good at it, then they'll do it for other people at a fee, right? But we're not necessarily going through that right now. So the criteria for a short sale, I told you I was gonna be going quick today, because there's a lot of pages. Criteria for a short sale, lender's criteria. It has to be necessary, there has to be hardship, unaffordable, upside down, right? So it's not just because they want to. Oh man, the housing market came down, I bought at the peak, I just want a short sale, I want to get out of it. Well, sucks for you, right? What's your hardship? What happened? I lost my job, my spouse passed away and they were my primary income, right? I got in an accident, didn't have insurance, and now I have no money, right? There has to be reasons. It has to be possible. The necessary return can be generated for the sale, right? The bank's gonna want the necessary return that they want to generate to make it work. And it has to still, they have to be upside down, right? If there's any equity at all, they break even, obviously they're not gonna short sell to give somebody money. Make sense? True, the short sell selling price is all about the lender's bottom line and meeting their net proceeds requirement for that property, a percentage of the current market value. So they want to make sure they hit their net that they're going to make to be able to go through that process.
I have a question. Is the commission typically lower with short sales?
Nope. It's typically 6%.
What about foreclosure?
Typically 6%.
Oh, so the REO is the one that is like 1 or 1.5, right?
So it depends on the market, by the way. So right now it might be lower. They're going to go with the market averages. If they can give away giving out 2.5%, which you can right now, and giving 3%, they may. Depends on the bank. Depends. Nothing's guaranteed, but typically it's 6%. Homeowner criteria. The homeowner's personal involvement. The homeowner has to help. It's up to them. They're not going to make any money. They might be distressed. They might say, okay, I'll do it. But guess what? If they don't get you all the documents and everything needed and sign everything to make $0, it's not going to happen. Documented hardship. If they're unwilling to say why and what, it's not going to happen. Loan in default. It's not always necessary. The loan doesn't already have to be in default before you go through the foreclosure process or before you go through the short sale process. So if they know it's going to happen and they know they're upside down, you can start that process. By the time it's done, they may be in default by that time anyways. You have to be upside down, no loan to value, right? We all know what upside down means, right?
Have to own more than it's worth, right?
Yep, you owe more than what it's worth. Property unaffordable. So every time you go buy a new car and you drive off the lot, what are you?
Losing money.
Stupid. Yes, no, you're upside down, right? Because now it is less than more than what you just paid for it.
Yeah.
Unless you put down like 20,000. Well, then you still don't. Buy it 2 years old.
Right.
That's the trick. Anyways, I don't think you're stupid if everyone just bought a new car. I've been preaching for like the last 6 months. I'm like, don't buy new cars, put money away. We're gonna have some tough times. And every time I go out there, there's a new Tesla. I'm like, oh my God, nobody listens.
Right?
I'm like, oh my God, nobody listens.
And it is the same price as
Yeah.
your payment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, criteria for a short sale. The truth, the homeowners must be willing to cooperate with the agent, lender, and buyer. The homeowner will have to turn over private documents and be willing to wait for answers from the lender while making nothing. They won't make money, typically. You might be able to give them a little bit, but they're gonna make nothing and they have to do a lot of work to make this happen. So if they're unwilling to do it, it's not gonna happen. No short sale, pre-foreclosure alternatives. So there's no for personal reasons, no for legal reasons, no because extreme negative equity. So no for personal reasons. So you try to meet somebody, they're short, and you're like, hey, let's maybe go through a short sale. They could say no because either they're discouraged or humiliated. Humiliated. I got it. I'm a pro reader. Discouraged or humiliated. They might just feel so discouraged, so upside down that they just don't want to deal with it. They'd rather just walk away. That happens. It's not best for them. It's really not. But they may not understand or accept the benefits. They may say it's too hard, I don't get it, I don't care. May not know their options. They may not even know short selling was an option or what it is. They might have thought that was something else. They just think they're getting foreclosed on. No for legal reasons. So if they're bankruptcy, right? If they're going through bankruptcy, they might not be able to do the short. PMI issue, so for the bank has PMI insurance, they may look at it, the asset manager may look at the property and go, look, we'll make more money through the insurance, we're just gonna foreclose. Foreclose date imminent. Here's the truth. Bank, oh yeah, it's right here. If the lender will not postpone the foreclosure, you may not have enough time to complete the short sale. But if persuaded by you that the short sale will work, the lender can usually postpone it. This happens. It's happened many times. I bet you it's happened maybe even to Steve. It's happened to people. You're going through the short sale process, you have a thing, you've submitted it in, you're about to get approved, you feel good of it, and holy crap, they just sold it at auction.
Oh.
wow.
It happens because the bank may not care. They may just say, never mind, we're going to auction. It happens. I remember sitting in my cubicle, right across the way was Paula Stafford, and we were chatting and about her sale, and she was trying to get it through. The next day she came in, she was almost crying. She's like, they sold it today at auction. And we were like, because she was trying to get them to postpone. They just sold it.
Wow.
She had it all done. It was supposed to close like 3 days later. It was done, approved. So it's absolutely true. They, you might not fit the timeline, and they could just go to auction. So you want to be in really good contact with your with the asset manager, whoever's working that property, and make sure that they're postponed it. There's not going to auction. That the seller's aware. The seller lets them know we're working through it, because that could happen. No, because of extreme negative equity, homeowners may walk away. So it may be deliberate economic calculation. If you see the math on page 49, where they realize that they're so upside down that they're like, I'm just going to walk away because by the time it's 7 years for this equity to catch up, or it's going to take 10 years, I could just walk away and buy a new home and have better equity in 7 by walking away. With severe value declines, the time to recover may not be worth it. Better off foreclosing and waiting 5 to 7 years again to buy. So summary: positive, negative alternatives. Positive: forbearance, right to redemption, reinstatement, mortgage modifications. Hope, there's hope for the homeowners, right? Negative: deed in lieu foreclosure, deficit judgments, the price of indecision, waffling, and the potential tax issues, forgiven debt, 1099 stuff that you may have issues with. Your role in homeowners' choices. You are the advisor and the fiduciary. You are the fiduciary. You are the fiduciary. What does that mean?
Best interest of your clients.
Best interest of your clients and giving them the best advice, not the best interest in getting your commission. So you need to know what their options are. Short sale is normally a great option for them. It normally will be, right? They may have options to get through stuff and make things work. But if you don't let them know that they could call their bank and try to get a loan modification and keep their home without going through this process, you are not doing your fiduciary responsibility. If you save someone's home from being foreclosed on, they will love you forever and give you referrals forever. That's the better choice at the moment. Do what's best for the client long term. It's best for you long term too. Might be hard at the moment. Do it for them. Helping protect against fraud. There's a lot of fraud out there. It happens a lot. Know the rights of tenants. Arm's length transaction. Be aware of short sale streamlining developments. All right. All right, we're going to skip through that. We're going to go to mindset on page 60. So mindset map, traditional versus distressed. So consumer stress and anxiety. So typically the mindset when you're doing a stressed property, the sellers are not in a good place, right? They're stressed, they're freaking out. Sellers are desperate. Buyers, they're like, oh, 200, maybe we could get it for 100. Like, they're stupid. They think they're going to get some crazy good steal. Lenders overburdened with priorities. So back in 2009, 2010, lenders were so overburdened with these properties. It was such a mess that they were so stressed out. Today, it's not so much. They don't have that many distressed properties, right? Agents poorly informed about the process, and then there's unique transaction differences. Sellers, it's a tough place to be. So why choose short sale? We already talked about that. The credit scope impact, financial records, time to qualify again, down payment needed for the future, right? Short sale is a much better path than foreclosure. Lenders, weighing the cost of foreclosing or creating an REO, right? They might be overwhelmed by the volume of files, staffing problems. They might be so tired of wrestling with agents who send in their files wrong with errors. What they used to do is they would have a stack on their table. They would take it to process it, soon as it was in error, send it back, one error. Throw it to the bottom, throw it in the trash, wait for it to come in again. Because they just couldn't deal with agents not doing their job right and had too much going on. Doing a file correctly was a huge, huge thing of getting your file processed. You had to do it right, right? Truth, while all lenders have issues in common with considering a short sale, you must understand the difference of how short sales are processed from one lender to the next. How do you know that?
Ask.
Go to their website, click on the bottom, there's a short sale, they'll give you a file, they'll tell you what the process is, right? Many of them use the same, it's an online platform that you go through the process and have to submit the stuff, but what they want you to submit might be different. They might want different things, different requirements. They'll send you a short sale package to request it. And you're gonna have to get a statement signed by the sellers allowing you to act on their behalf and talk to the lender. Saying basically that you are allowed to act, I forget what the exact terms is.
Third-party authorization.
It's a third-party authorization form, thank you. Allowing you to help out during that process. Have you done a short sale before?
I used to work for Bank of America.
So you know it.
Yeah.
Yep. So listing agents, psychologists, and grief counselor. You're literally the grief counselor. You're the psychologist helping them out. You're an advocate for them. You're a master of patience and persistence. You need to be organized and system-based and willing to do whatever it takes. They are a lot of effort compared to a normal sale. Buyers agents and buyers, you must teach them to process to both. They have to understand how it works on both sides. The lender is in charge. You have to teach them that before you do it. It's not up to them. The bottom line is unknown at first. And there's little if any negotiations. It just is what it is. Teach the requirements and post them for all to see. So like if you have a website or something that you do, be the expert in that area, telling them the requirements so they understand. Because if you're a buyer and you're going to get short sales, they're like, oh, this will be great. They might be waiting 6 months and they might not get it for what they want and it might not happen. It might. All right, we're going to skip the exercise because this one's a lot and we got to keep moving. The short sale process. Okay, the 4 phases. There's pre-qualifying, gathering and submitting the package, negotiating, and closing the transaction. So this is kind of the meat and the potatoes of how to do it. So the agent goals in the short sale process is get smart, know the process, cold, like know it, simplify it, streamline paperwork wherever possible, standardize it, smooth work processes, standard communication will win, stand out. Show mastery by looking that the way on paper and acting that way in person. When it goes to the bank, the asset manager, and they got a really well done thing, it's much easier for them to accept your file. If they see a cluster F of nothing right, they might just go, no. 10 steps to a short sale. You pre-qualify, assemble the package, list the home, obtain an offer, submit the package, follow up, negotiate, appraisal, file, approve, and deal closes. We're going to go through each of these steps. All right, so if you have questions, let me know. The first step, you got to pre-qualify the seller. When you meet down for your listing appointment, interview the technique and questionnaire. Right? You're going to ask them certain questions, personal and contact information, details of their loan, see the bank statements, do they have a notice of default, essential facts of their hardship. What is their hardship? If their hardship is like, well, we just aren't living the lifestyle, we can't travel as much, so we're going to short sell. That ain't going to work. It's not going to work, people. Past marketing information on the house, motivation, what's the reasoning, and if there's any HOA or anything else that they owe on. Okay? The truth, reluctant to provide information or slow response or no response without prompting from you is a sure sign that things are probably not going to work out with this homeowner. If they're not motivated to do it, it's probably not going to happen. They're going to get, because they have to be quick, they're going to get foreclosed on. They can't just sit around and not do anything. So step 2, assemble the package. You could go on the website of whatever bank they're from, whatever bank they're using, and typically find the short closure package. Pull everything the lender and you will need in one place. Package details on the following side are in your guide. A lot of times the guide is a good overview of what you're probably going to need. Go to the bank and see exactly what they need. Exactly every document, every piece of paper, everything that they're asking for. So here's 11 package ingredients. Typically this is what you will need. You'll need the hardship letter. You'll need a listing agreement. You'll need an authorization letter. You'll need a financial statement. You'll need a recent bank statement and tax returns. Full executive purchase contract. You'll need a short sale disclosure. You need a buyer's pre-approval letter. A preliminary HUD-1. Closing statement from escrow. A CMA. A fax cover sheet. You might need some other stuff as well. The prettier you make this, the more likely it is. When I would do a short sale, I had cover sheet looked really nice. I had a table of contents at the top. It was labeled, and every single page had the file number, the loan number. I made everything just beautiful. Easy peasy, you can see it all, right? When you do this, I'm not a very organized person. Typically I'm online, I do stuff that way. I actually got a big file, a big, like an envelope type thing, but like it opened up. And I would put the notes on the side of the file of everything that I needed or time checked so I could document where I was at. And I put everything in order every single time I got anything so I could have it all in one place to be organized to make sure when I sent it in I had it all right.
You mentioned the preliminary HUD-1, and you said, what was that?
A HUD-1 is your closing statement. So you just basically go to escrow and get a closing statement of what it would be. But get the bank for sure. Go to the bank and see what they're asking for, right? You can find those documents throughout. If you're not sure what it is, you can ask someone, they'll show you what it is. Okay, price and list the home. So when you do a short sale, typically they would price the homes a little bit lower than what it would go for to try to generate a lot of offers, right? And find the best offer, then you put it on the market because the seller doesn't care about the price, they're not making money. So you just want the thing to get into escrow quickly. Now, banks may not take that low of an offer. So you gotta be careful. So follow the MLS rules, provide instructions for the agents, do a great CMA, be the expert for the seller and lender need. Your CMA will be tested later by the lender. They'll also most likely do their own assessment of what they think it'll go for, right? I had a short sale at, I thought 195 max. House was like, they turned into like this halfway home. They added all these bedrooms for people in and out of rehab. It was gross, it needed roof, right? And so I listed at 145. I got an investor at 145. We went to the bank. We did everything, submitted. We looked good. The bank came back and said, no, we want 185. And I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna get 185 for this. But then I went back on the market, bank approved 185. I got somebody at 185. They actually came by and they wanted to use it exactly how it was, but they wanted to turn it more for their facility that they were gonna do. They wanted it. I was shocked. I was like, that thing is worth, if you flipped it at the time and made it beautiful, it's worth maybe 210, like pristine. I'm like, this needs 30,000 worth of work. But it did, they got it, right? Listing a short sale property at the price that is both CMA tested and has a great chance of meeting the lender's net requirements is a big secret to the short sale success. So if you do a CMA and you think it's worth 200 and you list it at 150, you're probably not going to get the bank to approve it. Make sense? You're supposed to, they want to get as much as they can, and they're going to look at it. They're going to see what you did and what they think. A lot of times they don't even care about your CMA anymore. They have their own system that tells them the price. It's like a Zillow type of thing. No short sale math. Factoring costs, commissions, and negotiating room. Have a good handle on the standard lender net requirements. These vary widely market to market. Calculate backwards to listing price needed. So if you know the cost of being a realtor at your 6%, if you're trying to get them $5,000 of moving out costs, you have your HUD-1 that's showing exactly what's going to cost them, what they're going to net, what they're going to actually make from it. Knowing what their lender net requirements, you have to talk to the lender to see if they'll give you that information to see if you can come up with a cost. Make sense? All right. Step 4, you got to obtain an offer. So you got the listing agreement. The bank may not approve the short sale at all, but you've talked to the bank beforehand, you started the process, they know you're gonna try to short sell it, you're hoping you're gonna get it approved. Now you go on the MLS and you're trying to get offers, right? So you're doing the normal thing, you're doing your normal whatever you do to sell a home, if they allow you to do open houses, whatever it is, you're just informing everyone that it's a short sale. With the vast majority of lenders, it's only after an offer is received that you submit the seller package that you have built along with the offer. If you're applying for a short sale approval based on the specific offer, make sure you look at the lender to know if that's still the case or not. The lender may want you to submit it beforehand, before they approve, before they go on the market. Make sense? Obtain an offer, let investors help if they follow through. Multiple offer strategy. A lot of times you want to submit the lowest offer submitted first. Depends on how your local market is moving, right? Our local market, that probably ain't gonna work. You only do one offer at a time. You don't get like 3 offers and keep submitting them in. Nope. You take the one offer that you feel is best, that's gonna most likely close and willing to wait. You put that in with the package and submit that and wait for the negotiations with the bank. Make sense? If you get one offer, it's good, you just go from that offer. It's not like a, let's wait, drive up the price. It's just trying to get that offer and getting it approved.
So when you're putting in an offer, you want to get it close to this price as possible?
I mean, it's just what your buyers want to do, right? If you want to get the house, you want the bank to approve, they want as much money as possible. They're just trying to protect the bank. So, yeah. Obtain an offer, continue. Most top agents say under no circumstance should a second or third offer be submitted to the lender when one offer is already in their hands. It only causes confusion and delay. I think in most of the services now you can't even do it. Once it's submitted in, it just blocks it out on their online portal and it waits for them to respond. And then basically it's a chat box and the bank will come back, no, we want this, or blah, blah, blah. And then you can be like, well, blah, blah, blah. And they blah, 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 and it's back and forth and you go, okay, well, that's what we gotta do. Submit package and offer. File must be completed. Don't do a half-assed job on the file on this. I know most of us do a half-assed job when we do a file for the office. Don't do it for this. You won't get approved. Use bold cover sheet. Loan number prominent on every single page. Table of contents and document list. Make it look really nice. More likely to get approved. Share history of pricing that brought the offer as well. Follow up, ask, assume nothing ever. What is your procedure from here? First 30 days equals lender processing. Have communication routine and contact. Be sure that the foreclosure is postponed. We talked about that. Don't let them foreclose on your house. Ask. Negotiation phase. What you must do. Approach all lien holders promptly. First lien holder in the driver's seat. What if there's 3 liens on the home? Each lien has to approve, right? Oh, it's probably not going to happen if there's 3. It's going to be really hard, right? Typically, there's only one. There's only one loan on a lien against the home. Second and third lien holders can block the deal. Put lien holders' demands in writing. No standards for settlement. Watch out for the HOA liens too. If there's an HOA on there, they put a lien on the property. Those all have to be settled before it can sell. So that all of them have to agree to the sales price and whatever portion or non-portion they're going to get. That make sense? It's difficult. Successful short sale agents have different views about whether to take on short sales with more than 2 lien holders. Some say it's too hard and time consuming. They refer this business. It's an individual agent's decision to do that. Negotiation phase, outsourcing pros and cons. Pros, leverage your time, increase capacity, control staff costs. Cons, not knowing the details of the problems. We're not going to be outsourcing stuff right now. Appraisal. Order the appraisal as sign things are moving. Truth. The criteria factor for the price agreement is any gap between your CMA and the appraisal. BPO done for the lender. So if the bank approves and the appraisal comes in, a lot of times they'll want that appraisal. Right? If the appraisal comes in much higher, we might have an issue. If the appraisal comes in at value, right? The new buyer will be able to purchase the home, they'll be able to move forward. Meet the appraiser, control access, be aware of any arm's length appraisal standards. That's back, you guys are all aware of that. That was back from 2007 when they had that whole drop and they made the new, all those new appraisal rules. Appraisals can be appealed if you don't get an appraisal in that you like, which we all know. File approved by lender. Watch for deficiency judgment loopholes, right? Check closing date, lien settled, commission unchanged, who's paying what cost. What will happen is when you put it into the portal, they'll send back what it's almost a counter offer, but it's just, so for example, when I submitted my file, and I had $10,000 for the buyer, or for the seller, for like basically cash for keys. I had a 6% commission. I had all the details in there. They came back with their counter, higher sales price, $3,000 back to the buyer, blah, 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 blah. And then we have to accept or don't, right, at that point. Then we accepted, right, we found another buyer, we came through, and then we moved forward with the deal. Deal closed. Avoid last minute fee negotiation disappointments. Make sure everything's in there, it's in writing, it's there, you know what it is, and it looks right. There's not some discrepancies. Because there will be, like, in your HUD 1, it'll be like, NHD to pay this, right? Normally the seller pays that. They may not pay that. Then the NHD you have to provide, that might be a bad example, but there's other things they may have asked for a termite. The bank says no. Who's paying what fee? And then you go into escrow, and the bank's like, we're not paying any of that. And the seller's like, well, I wasn't know, or the buyer's like, wasn't gonna pay for that. Well, now you gotta pay for it. So make sure you understand what they put on there and who's paying for what. Sellers need not attend. Seller doesn't have to bring in any money to close the difference. Know the wait and hurry up syndrome. Long negotiations, short closing times. So you're waiting. Okay, go. At the end, when it gets approved, now you're gonna try to close this thing and get done.
What is the average period of a short sale again?
So it depends. It depends on how long the bank takes to approve. When the bank has a ton, back in the day, it takes 6-9 months. Nowadays, you're probably 3 months. You could be done, if not sooner. So it just depends how long it takes for the bank, how good you are at getting them the good info, the information they need so they can process it and approve or not approve. It's actually pretty quick nowadays because there's not that many. If we get back into a heavy short sale REO market, it will definitely take longer. Definitely. So reject the deal. Let's say if the deal got rejected, right? Their net was not met. So the bank net was not met. There's too little time left. They're foreclosing anyways, sorry. You're missing information, which is the #1 reason why they kick it back. Internal job transfers, the asset manager, whatever, stuff happens. New lender, the bank may have sold the loan. Maybe the bank sold the loan to a different bank, right? And you can dispute and appeal if something comes back, to appeal to try to get your thing accepted or moved to a different position. Doesn't mean it'll happen. If buyer walks away, this happens because they're like, it's been 6 months, I'm gonna go buy a different house, right? You have to get on MLS quickly, ASAP, to get another buyer. Post as lender pre-approved short sale on MLS if deal failed. So when mine backed out, I said lender approved at 185. So then everyone else knew that if we get an offer at 185, the bank is good with it. They will move forward, right? And then someone did. Still can't believe they bought that house. Know about FHA, VA short sale policies. There is some different guidelines throughout there. For the most part, it's the same. They might just ask for a different piece of paper. So, all right, lead generating to it. This really is an opportunity for people, and if you start thinking about it now, I know Steve's been and Marvin have been focusing on REOs because they predict that will be more of a niche coming up. Short sales will be a niche as well. They're a lot of work, but they're a great way to lead generate towards it, right? So lead sources, other agents, people don't want to deal with it. I'll take it for you, 30% referral if you don't want to do it. Your database, right? Your current clients, your ongoing listing appointments, right? Truth, always ask 3 questions. Are circumstances threatening your home ownership? Have you missed a payment? Is your home worth less than you owe? Right? These are all loafers you can be putting out there. You know, there are options. Meet with me. Right? Don't get foreclosed on and ruin your credit for 7 years. Right? Lead sources, farming, expired listings, expired short sale listings, FSBOs, notice of default list. There's a list of people notice of defaults? Who can give me that? Frank! Everyone that's been given notice of defaults, they give you the list of names. Public notice of auctions, delinquency property tax list. Title companies, right? You could go get lists of people and notice the fault. You could put together a nice package. You could go knock on a door. There's a lot of things you can do to become a specialist to short sell and get those leads. Media marketing and promotions, right? Relationship marketing, right? Top agents in distressed markets are great communicators. They have learned the step-by-step expertise and then share it by educating sellers, buyers, and buyers agents. You can be a whole social media platform, build a website talking about how to do short sales and how to be the short sell expert. After I did my first short sell, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I kind of liked it for the fact that the sellers aren't involved, there's no emotional attachment to the offer and how much, it's just straight business. Like, we got a deal, we got to get through because you're gonna lose your arm. And then it was just back and forth with the bank. And then I got my commission. Do you have more lead generation ideas for short sales? Think about that. Think about what you can do for your short sales. We're getting close on time. I'm going to finish up here pretty quickly. But think about what, if it is something you're interested in, it is more work, but if you want a niche, and a niche that may be coming, it's not there today, but it may be coming, short sales is a interesting niche. It doesn't take you or require you to have some person to give you an account. An REO, everyone wants an REO account, but it takes a lot of work to get there and a lot of money up front. Short sales don't. It doesn't cost you anything, right? It costs you the marketing and what you're going to do before that. It costs you more time, but if you're able to get a good system down and know how to do it, and you're an organized person, they're not that difficult. They're really not. All right, evaluating list short sales and you. Is there a fit? And what is it? So personal demands. You have to be persistent, patient, organized. You have to leverage and help of others. System-oriented and learning-based to understand how to do it at a high level. Business demands. End-to-end short sell agent. Negotiator for others. Referral only, figuring out what you would do with that. Multiple businesses, short sales and REOs, distressed and traditional businesses side by side or in separate units. So for example, Steve does a lot of REOs. He may have someone that focuses just on the short sales because he gets those leads and he's known as an REO agent. He may decide to hire an agent just to focus on short sales for him, while he just does the REOs, right? As your business grows, you can look at that and what makes the most sense. The choices are yours. Evaluate them and get some coaching or mentoring. Make a choice and take action to bring it to life. All right, that was a quick run through of how short sales work, because this class probably should have done it in 2 hours, but we have an hour. This packet really is a good packet for you if you are getting a short sale or you're talking to someone and you realize that they owe $300, they're hoping to get $310, maybe that's what it's worth. But guess what? After fees, it's short. They're not going to be able to pay off everybody, right? You're realizing that this might be an option. Keep this, pull this out, read through it, because it gives you detail. If each of these things that I glossed over quickly, there's a paragraph explaining it in here. So it's 130, 140 some odd pages of explaining in detail how it works, right? How the process works. It's not that hard. It's not that different from a normal sell. You just have to do a little bit of legwork of going on the bank, getting a third-party authorization, talking to somebody at the bank and understanding, have them sitting over their package of things they need, getting all that signed from the buyer, making it look really nice and pretty, getting it on the MLS, getting an offer, submitting it onto their online portal, everything that's needed, and then waiting for the bank to process and get back to you. It's not that hard. It really is a cool process. It's really great for buyers and, or sellers if they're in a tough spot. It really is better to short sell than it is to foreclose on. So read through this, kind of understand it. If you're like, I'm not an organized person, it sounds terrible, I'm just going to go knock on doors, great. Don't do them. And it's a good niche for somebody. Someone in this office will dominate short sales when that market comes back over the next couple of years. Right? Let's say they're only 4% or 5% of the right now they're about 1% distressed properties of the sales. Let's say they go to 5% of the sales. Right? How many sales do we sell in Gadbar every year? Last year was about 3,500. What's 5% of 3,500? What's 10%? It's 350. What's 5%? 175. Let's say you're the dominant person in the Antelope Valley and you get 20% of those things because you're known as a short sale specialist. Who's a short sale specialist in the Antelope Valley? Who's a luxury specialist in the Allen Valley? Who'd you say?
Ferris.
Ferris. Right? You could say Ferris, but nobody can say short sale. So, okay, you're the short sale specialist, you only get 20% of this. What's 20%?
35.
40. It's actually 36. Right? 17.5, 17 is 34. No, it's 35. I only know 3 and 6%.
I thought you were just trying to round up. I'm like, okay.
If you could get 35 deals from just your short sales, would you be happy?
See.
Right? There's an opportunity there. That's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to say, even if it only goes to 5%, what if it goes to 10% of all sales?
70.
Right? And you only get 10% of those, or 5%. There's still, even if you got 10 deals a year from short sale, and you did all your other stuff, but short sale was something you did, and it consistently gave you 10 deals, it's worth doing.
But they do take, what, you say, 3 months? 3 months to process?
It depends. So if we get into a market where there's a lot of short sales and REOs, it'll take longer. Right now, you can probably do it in a month and a half to 2 months.
So the goal is to do the short sale and then put the house back in the market?
I'm sorry?
Put the house back in the market? That's the whole idea and the goal?
So when you're doing the short sale, the house will be on the market. It's getting the bank to approve that they're selling it for less than what they owe.
Right, but the concept, right, but what is our goal besides getting them through that process?
Well, you get a commission when you sell the home.
At a lower price?
Your commission will be the full amount.
Can we put it back in the market or no?
Well, it would be sold. When you're doing the short sale process, there will be a new buyer that is buying the home like a normal transaction. It's just the bank now is approving it before it gets done. When the bank approves it, now the house sells, it's sold, now you get your commission.
Got it.
So it's worth doing. Anyways, any questions?
Why would I want to spend all that time and effort if I could do just a regular sale?
Sure.
You would recommend this
No?
if you don't have a lot of.
I recommend you do something. Right? Some of us have, Jessica Dixon, she's probably not gonna go focus on this. She dominates moms and military in Roseman. That's her niche, she kills it. She doesn't need to spend extra time on short sales. If she gets a short sale, she knows how to do it, she's gonna do it, right? But she's not gonna focus on only on short sales. Somebody should. It's business, somebody should become the expert. Once you get a system in place and you maybe hire an admin that can do most of those things for you anyways, then it's just lead generating to that what you're good at, talking to the people and then handing it off to somebody, right? It's a business. It's just a business niche that you could go after if somebody else isn't. Go in this office, there's a lot, we have a ton of new agents every year, right? We get so many new agents every year, right? And they might run into a short sale, they don't come in, look to your left and to the right. This room should be absolutely packed full of new agents. We got 120 new people last year. Where are they?
Not here.
They fall into deals though, they do, many people do, and they have no idea what the hell they're doing for a short sale. Great, I'll give you 30%, let me do it for you. Get everyone the agents, I'll be your short sale person, I'll do it if you don't want to do it. Jessica, you're too busy for that short sale, I'll do it for you. You know, even 50%, I don't know, but if it's worth it to you or not. But it's just a niche that you could dominate and become that person and have the expertise in that. It's one niche for you to do. I thought about it, and after I did the one, I was like, this is not too bad. Thought about it, but then I really liked commercial. So I was really more on I wanted to do commercial. The reason why I wanted to do commercial is because I'm not an emotional person as much, and the emotional side of buying a home drives me nuts. I love people excited buying a home, but I hate when they're like, you know, it's everything that I wanted, but it just feels weird. I'm like, oh my God. What do you mean it feels weird? Like, I can't handle
Is
that.
someone die here?
Yeah, they just got this feeling. I'm like, oh,
I had a lady saying that she got
the carpet just makes it weird. Change the carpet! Where it's not that way in commercial. Commercial is, what's the cap rate? Am I gonna get a good return on investment? Okay, cool, let's do it. And as long as it's there and financially makes sense, it's numbers. I'm behind, I'm a fan of that. That's
How difficult is a short sale? I'm not a short sale, commercial.
Commercial?
Yeah.
Way more
Super
difficult than a short sale. The reason why commercial is difficult is there is no MLS where you can just go find all the info, right? We have an MLS, a lot of them are part of the MLS, but most of them aren't. Commercial's all kind of who you know, good old boys club, gotta know the right person, gotta know the right thing. They have CoStar that works like an MLS and Dotloop, and they have a free version of Dotloop and a paid version of Dotloop, but you're like $1,000 a month. Like, it's so expensive. CoStar, to get comps, like CoStar's, that's like $900 a month. So the expense is high, and it's kind of hard to get in, but it's once again just a networking thing. I looked around in the Antelope Valley, and I said, it's the same 3 dudes have done it for the last like 50 years. Like, this is an opportunity. Like, I feel like I could be like a young blood, come in here and kill this thing. And so I started learning the process. I got into multifamily, and I'm like, this is super interesting to me. I like learning about how that works. Then figuring out different cap rates and the returns on stuff. And then I was like, okay, how do you get into retail? What does that look like? Because there's land, retail, multifamily, mixed use, industrial. There's rentals. You could just be the rental guy, right? And then I started doing it for people, and I'm like, how do I find the rentals? I had to drive around and freaking call the signs because you can't just find them. So it's difficult. It's a challenge, but once you break that, I'm like, there's a good opportunity in there. Like, there for sure is a good opportunity in there. Like, but it's a challenge and it costs money like anything else. Short sales would be easier and quicker to get into. But anyways,
Just start somewhere, huh?
start somewhere. All right, thanks guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see everybody on Monday. I will see you all tomorrow at the awards meeting at that place. Bye everybody on Zoom at the Hilton Garden Inn. Gotta get ready for the ALC. All right, I gotta go look up.